Peace, love, and blessings, fam. Day 42 of Wisdom of the Ages by Wayne W. Dyer. We will be going a full consecutive 60 days, no matter what. If you've missed the previous recordings, you can catch them on YouTube at Loyalty Life, spelled Lyfe, Legacy, LLC. Day 42, Family and Home. Roots, for Amelia Josephine Burr. And if I didn't say that correctly, roofs. The road is wide and the stars are out, and the breath of night is sweet. And this is the time when wanderlust should seize upon my feet. But I'm glad to turn from the open road and the starlight upon my face, and leave the splendor of out of doors for a human dwelling place. I never have seen a vagabond who really liked to roam all up and down the streets of the world and not to have a home. The tramp who slept in your barn last night and left at break of day will wander only until he finds another place to stay. A gypsy man will sleep in his cart with canvas overhead, or he'll go into his tent when it is time for bed. He'll sit on the grass and take ease so long as the sun is high, but when it is dark, he wants a roof to keep away the sky. If you call a gypsy a vagabond, I think you do him wrong, for he never goes a-traveling, but he takes his home along. And the only reason a road is good, as ever wanderer knows, is just because of the homes to which it goes. They say that life is a highway, and its milestones are the years. And now and then there's a toll gate where you buy your way with tears. It's a rough road and a steep road, and it stretches broad and far, but it leads at last to a golden town where golden houses are. Joyce Kilmer, American poet, remembered chiefly for his poem Trees. Joyce Kilmer transitioned in battle in France during World War I. While Sergeant Joyce Kilmer is known primarily for his 12-line poem that begins, "I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree," I have chosen to highlight this poetic tribute to home, which by way of inference is a call to value and appreciate all that a home encompasses, particularly family and loved ones. Underneath those roofs that Joyce Kilmer eulogizes in this poem is what we all need to be most mindful of as the greatest source of love available to us in our lifetimes. Those roofs cover over our places of comfort. For most of us, home has a very deep significance. It represents the anchor to our temporary earthly visit. It symbolizes a sense of safety, and those who live there with us help guide us through the uncertainties of a world filled with strangers. While home life is far from idyllic for many of us, nevertheless, there still seems to be a universal sense of security in having a home to return to, regardless of how far we decide to travel. I have visited all over this planet, and I have seen homes of every description. People live in grass shacks in Polynesia and igloos in the frozen tundra. Some occupying tiny apartment dwellings with many others in Hong Kong, and others choosing to live in tents along the edge of the desert. Even those who are labeled homeless usually have some location, even if it is a large box or a spot of their own beneath a freeway overpass. The universal inclination seems to be to find some shelter that provides a source of comfort and a sense of safety and call it home. Joyce Kilmer writes of these two unifying human inclinations, both to wander and to have a place to wander back to. Truly, he is saying, it is great to be on the road, but there is no place like home. This poem appeals to me because of my own vagabond nature, but my inclination to love being home. Somehow, It conveys a way to combine those two seemingly opposite predilections that are present not only in me, but in most of the people that I meet and receive mail from. All of us want to see the world, to travel, to get up and go. A common fantasy involves roaming free as an unemployed vagabond and letting go of all those anchors that hold us back. But at the same time, as the poet says, the only reason a road is good, as every wanderer knows, is just because of the homes, the homes, the homes to which it goes. Everywhere you travel, you see people congregating in their shelters, and sure enough, it makes us homesick. Roofs remind us to adopt an inner attitude of appreciation for that place of shelter and comfort that we call home. To look around and count our blessings in being safe, not only from the elements, but from the fear of not having a home. Moreover, these structures that we call home are more than the locations and the building materials. Under these roofs are those who care the most about us, those who have been willing to support and feed us, those who are always there regardless of how troublesome things might get. I have known some people who appear to be kinder to strangers than they are to the people under their roof who care the most about them. Many of our most basic problems and miseries come from our inability to deal effectively with those who reside with us under our roof. Nevertheless, for the most part, there is a bond that exists between family members who share the same house that is rarely ever severed. I think of my own brothers, whom I have not lived with for many decades, whom I see only a few times during the course of a year, and yet the times of being together under one roof have bonded us in a circle of love that can never be broken. It is this feeling of connectedness to others that a home symbolizes. It cannot be measured by any counted methods. It is a feeling of being in a state of unity with others who share that space. Joyce Kilmer asks you to treasure that feeling and appreciate whatever it is that you call home, and whoever you have had the opportunity to live with inside the confines of those walls and under those roofs. By all means, succumb to your travel lust. Take that wide road and see all you can. But also, while on that road, know that along those wide roads, on either side and at the end, are places that someone calls home. Therefore, when coming back and traveling down that most familiar road, stop before opening the door and feel a deep sense of appreciation, not only for having a home of your own to return to, but for those before you who built a home for you to grow up in and provided you with all your experiences, good and bad, easy and difficult. Be a wanderer today and then return to your home. It took a lot of love and care and food and work and energy to keep you out of harm's way and to make you self-sufficient. It is all that loving and caring that a home represents. The poet who wrote these sentimental lines was a sergeant in the U.S. Army during World War I. This sensitive young man, who volunteered to wander far from his earthly home in New Brunswick, New Jersey, was taken out in action in France in 1918 at the young age of 31. His last lines of this poem seem prophetic. It's a rough road and a steep road, and it stretches broad and far. But it leads, at last, to a golden town where golden houses are. I could not imagine a rougher or steeper final road than the trenches of World War I. But somehow, Sergeant Joyce Kilmer knew about an even grander home where the soul resides. It is evident in the last lines of this poem as well as in the trees. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree. Here are a few suggestions for putting the message of this poem into your life. 1. Take a few moments each day to be in a state of appreciation for the immediate surroundings that you call home, regardless of how grand or humble they might be. Give thanks to those who provide this home, to those who share it with you, and to the divine creator of all for the blessing of a shelter. Number 2, do whatever you can to assist those in our world who do not have a home. While some may make the choice to be vagabonds and have a new place to call home each day, others are homeless through no deliberate choice. Be of service financially, spiritually, or physically to those who would love to have a more permanent place called home. And 3, teach those who share your home with you to honor and revere it, not only for its physical attributes, but for the space of shelter and love that it represents. You never know how beautiful it is to call a permanent stationary place home until you travel. I remember when I was in the military, I could not wait to get back to my room once I left from whether it be training at Fort Irwin, California. When I came back from Iraq, I had to find a new place, which was an apartment, but it was still the fact that I had somewhere to come to, which was the base at the time, especially after traveling overseas and experiencing all I experienced, to be able to come home. I've even had stints in my life where I just mentioned not too long ago that I did some time. I went on vacation for a little bit, and when I came home to a place that should have been prepared for me as a home, but it wasn't. I was still appreciative for not having to be under the confines of an institutional structure and have a place that I could move freely from as I came and went. And the most beautiful thing is when you have taken the choices and steps to establish for yourself a place such as that. Now, there are some who are completely happy with traveling. Some who have RVs, whatever the case may be, they have something or of a semblance of home. But until you do not have a place that you can call your home, you don't fully understand it. Because along my tracks and trails, I remember going on the road to work on the road because I made good money. I was traveling cleaning AC units for Ann Taylor Loft, Target, and a multitude of other places. And when I came home, I had to stay with my partner at their parents' home. Needless to say, things didn't work out between us, not by anything I did of my own, and I didn't have anywhere to go. I had a little bit of money that I had saved from working on the road, and I literally had to stay in a vacant home. I would go to work every day at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I would go to that vacant house with no lights, no water. I'm not saying this or telling this story to have anybody feel bad for me, but I knew I had to make a change and I had to do what I needed to do, because I'd be darned if I was going to be on the streets. But I was also in an area where there were houses that were open for sale or that were off the market that I was able to hold up in for the time being, to save me up some money and hit the ground running and find me somewhere to stay. Not everybody thinks like that, and not everybody is that fortunate. Some people have vices, some people have traumas that prevent them from even planning out mentally how they're going to move forward. So be appreciative for your home. Be appreciative for the space that you call family and home. And never just look down on anyone because they're out on the street. You never know why they're there. You never know what choices they've made in life or what choices have been made for them or towards them that have caused them to be that way. But I thank you for being here with me as always, more so for yourself than for me. I ask that you walk in love, walk in light. Please be appreciative. Walk in peace, walk in love, and know that you are loved.